RussiaGate 3.0, just in time for the US federal election. And there's a Canadian connection. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. One of the big stories this week is RussiaGate 3.0. To recap, RussiaGate 1.0 was the Steele dossier scandal that happened back in 2016, where Hillary Clinton contracted a British spy, an ex-British spy, who had worked for MI6, the British Secret Intelligence Service, to produce a phony dossier implicating Donald Trump in a Russian collusion scandal. RussiaGate 2.0 was a Mueller investigation that ended up backfiring when Robert Mueller charged a company. And because companies can't go to jail, representatives of that company actually showed up to challenge the charge. So faced with having to produce his evidence, Robert Mueller decided to withdraw the charges. And now we're facing RussiaGate 3.0. I've linked the indictment in the show notes below for anyone who wants to read it for themselves. To summarize, two Russian former employees of RT, Russian Today, the news organization which is financially supported by the Russian government, with failing to register as foreign agents and money laundering. When you read the indictment, initially it looks pretty bad for the owners of Company 1, which everyone believes to be Tenet Media, and Founder 1, which everybody believes to be Lauren Chen, and Founder 2, Lauren Chen's husband, or at least that's what everybody believes. But when you read the indictment, some things kind of jump out at you and make you wonder, is somebody setting them up? Here are just a few things that stood out to me. First, no one associated with Company 1 is being charged. Second, Company 1 is not being charged. 3, the indictment is not dated, so is it even official? Fourth, the statute that the Russians are charged with was originally designed for foreign lobbyists who are representing foreign countries, who are lobbying members of Congress. So it doesn't seem to apply in this case. The real question is Company 1 the victim of a targeted attack by the Department of Justice or the CIA? VivaBarnsLaw do a weekly podcast, a live stream on Sunday nights, and this was the topic of their last broadcast. I'll link that broadcast in the show notes below. They make a compelling argument that this was a political dirty trick, although they didn't quite use those words. One point they make is the money trail isn't typically what you'd find used by the Russians, but it is something that you would think the CIA would use. Another point is nobody who will actually show up is charged, so the government is not likely to ever have to prove their case in court. And finally, the charge was laid in the Southern District of New York, which they describe as the most corrupt district in the United States. Why was the charge laid in that district, you might ask? Because the company is in Tennessee. The founders are in Tennessee, and none of the commentators that they hired are in New York either. Here are some other things that I questioned when I read the indictment. How did the government get search warrants for these communications? Without somebody being charged and challenging it in court, we'll never know. Second, what brought this company to the attention of the Department of Justice? Again, without anybody challenging this, we'll never know. Third, there's only a thinly veiled suggestion that the founders should ask their commentators to take a certain angle on a certain story. But that angle was already being explored by other sources in the media. And fourth, the company's business model doesn't make any sense at all. These commentators who were producing content and not being influenced to produce that content were being paid to license their content to this platform. That doesn't make sense. But also the licensing agreement ended up paying more for the content than what they can recoup through revenue streams. So they're losing money. That doesn't make any sense. But when you look at it from the view that maybe it's a smear operation that's going to come up just before the election, that makes a lot more sense. And now Dominic LaBlanc, our public safety minister, has released a statement regarding this. Statement by the Minister of Public Safety, Democratic Institutions and Intergovernmental Affairs on U.S. action regarding Russian influence operations. And this is dated September 5th. Today, the Honorable Dominic LaBlanc, Minister of Public Safety, Democratic Institutions, and Intergovernmental Affairs, issued the following statement. I commend the United States for its recent decisive actions against individuals allegedly involved in Russian influence operations aimed at undermining democratic processes. I also condemn in the strongest terms the attempts by Russia's state-owned media entity, RT, to spread disinformation, influence election outcomes, undermine democracy and rules-based international order, and engage in information operations and cyber incidents against Western targets. Canada has been working in close cooperation with the U.S. and other allies on this serious matter. While we are unable to comment on ongoing investigations, we are united in confronting Russia's aggression and subversion against democratic societies, and we will not hesitate to take any actions necessary to hold Russian threat actors to account. Any Canadians who illegally assist in Russia's persistent attempts to use disinformation, criminal and covert activities, and corruption to undermine our sovereignty and democratic processes will face the full force of Canadian law. The Government of Canada takes the issue of foreign interference seriously. In 2022, the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, CRTC, formally removed RT and RT France from the list of non-Canadian programming services and stations authorized for distribution. We know that this issue requires a whole of government and whole of society approach, and we are committed to standing up to malicious actors who threaten Canada's economic and national security. Canadians can be confident that Canada's law enforcement and security agencies investigate and respond to potential threats. We will always take the necessary step to keep Canadians and those on Canadian soil safe. Canada is not quite as free as the U.S., so maybe Dominic LaBlanc can get away with censoring Canadians, but this doesn't actually appear to be an offense in the States. Would it be an offense in Canada? I don't know, but he seems to be focusing a lot on this. Maybe he should be focusing more on the traitors who are in Parliament, who have been actually working with foreign governments against Canadian interests. But getting back to the topic at hand, I think that Founders 1 and 2, whom everybody believes are Lauren Chen and her husband, were duped. Are they guilty of misleading their contributors? Maybe. Are they guilty of poor business practices? Probably. Are they guilty of foreign interference or foreign influence? Not if the statute that's being used to charge these Russian defendants is used in the manner that it was designed, which is likely why nobody who is likely to show up for court was actually charged. Because this way, the government will never have to prove its case. One thing for sure, Founder 1 will likely never be seen on social media again. This has pretty much destroyed her career. And unless she and her husband sue the Department of Justice, then the details of this will never come out. So how does this affect other content creators? Well, my advice, don't get greedy. Don't take money from people you don't know, and you should be fine. After all, we haven't gone full United Kingdom, at least not yet. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you have to say. Put your comments down below. And while you're at it, please like this video, share with your friends and on social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Oh, and I do have a lot of links in the description to my other social media, including a link to my website where you can sign up for the Canadian Firearm Safety course. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.